Hello friends, welcome to YouTube channel of Paathshala. I am Professor S.P. Singh. Today I am going to discuss in this class a very important topic for CTET, UP-TET and other TET examinations. Today's topic of discussion is socialization, under which we will discuss about the definition of socialization, features of socialization, kinds of socialization, role of family, peers and identity, agents of socialization, the role of education in socialization, a school as a social system, the influence of social class on education and socialization, the gender socialization and education, state socialization and education. Here we are trying to explain the concept of socialization. What socialization does mean? Socialization is the process of receiving from ancestors and disperse throughout norms, customs and ideologies, giving a person skills and habits essential for participating within his or her society. Socialization is thus the means for attainment of social and cultural continuity. It is the kind of social learning that takes place when an individual interacts with other persons. Through this process, a person learns to become members of society by internalizing social values, norms and expectations. A person needs to earn proper cognitive, personal and social skills needed to function as a productive member of the society. In socialization, an individual interacts with others and his own perspective about one's own self becomes significant. Everyone creates his or her own identity with respect to how others think and perceive him and how he takes others' perception. C.H. Cooley called it the looking glass self. The individual and the social groups influence one's socialization. Cooley argued that development of self is others' interpretation of a person and how that person perceives and takes that interpretation. Other perspective sends us an image that becomes crucial for the development of self. Various salient features of socialization have been identified. Socialization not only helps in the maintenance and preservation of social values and norms, but it is the process through which values and norms are transmitted from one generation to another. Socialization inculcates basic discipline. A person learns to control his emotions and impulses. He may exhibit a disciplined behavior to attain social approval. Socialization helps to control human behavior. An individual from birth to death gets training and his behavior is managed in numerous ways. In order to maintain the social order, there are definite procedures or mechanisms in society. These procedures become part of a man's life and a person gets adjusted to the society. Through socialization, society intends to control the behavior of its members unconsciously. Socialization is rapid if there is more humanity among agencies of socialization. Socialization takes rapidly if the agencies of socialization are more unanimous in their ideas and skills. When there is conflict between the ideas, examples, and skills transmitted in home and those transmitted by school or peer, socialization of the individual tends to be slower and ineffective. Socialization takes place formally through direct instruction and education in schools and colleges. Family is, however, the primary and has a great influence among the sources of education. Children learn their language, customs, norms, and values in the family. Socialization is a lifelong process. It doesn't stop when a child becomes an adult. The internalization of culture continues from one generation to another. The members of society transmit culture to the next generation and society, and thus the society perpetuates itself. Here we are going to discuss the types of socialization. Broadly, there are two types of socialization: primary socialization and secondary socialization. Primary socialization. In this type of socialization, identity of self is first originated and takes a shape later in secondary socialization. The identity of self remains more or less entire. This socialization begins at the start of life and has a great influence on our life and plays a conclusive part in shaping attitudes. At the time of birth, the child has no conception but mere sensory schema. The child spends most of his time with significant others, who include mothers, fathers, family members, and other caretakers. The greatest part of learning consists of internalization in emotionally charged environment. The child internalizes the way of seeing this world as his significant others see it. Further, he develops the liking and disliking for color and taste. The child develops his self with assistance of internalization of self or significant others and externalizing it. In addition to the development of self, the idea of society and social roles are also developed in the child's mind. However, the child learns complex roles in secondary socialization. Secondary socialization begins as the child enters the larger society. He acquires role-specific knowledge. Biological limitations becomes less important to the learning sequences. The intrinsic properties of knowledge to be acquired get established, which serves as the foundation structure of that knowledge. Family has close working relations with the process of socialization. It plays an instrumental role in the care, providing, and fostering children. From our infancy, we grow and build our sense of self and personal identity in the family. Development of formal socialization skill and later development at school to a large extent depend on the kind of family relations one has. The kind of parent-child interaction pattern can have a profound influence on child development at a school. It is found that the nature of parenting is determining in the development of socially competent behavior in children. Peer relationships play an important role in the development of a child's self-concept and have a strong impact on how children view the roles of males and females in our society. The perpetuation of gender biases and stereotypes often begins in the home and then further reinforced by the peer group. Children's relations with their peers play a major role in their overall development, promoting social and emotional competencies and intervening in cases of difficulty very early in life seems particularly effective for fostering positive experiences among children. The roles of peer at much earlier points in children's lives play a significant role in their social development than we think. Experiences in the first 2 or 3 years of life have possible significance for acceptance of children by their class fellows in nursery school and the later school periods. Children who are competent with peers at an early age and those who show pro-social behavior are possibly likely to be regarded favorably by their peers. Children exhibiting aggressive behavior are often denied acceptance by their peers, but this always doesn't happen. It is clear that peer relations pose special challenges to children with disorders and others who lack the emotional, cognitive, and behavioral skills that underlie harmonious interaction. The risk for children with early behavioral and emotional problems becomes more severe if they experience rejection by peers. On the other hand, early friendship and positive relations with peer groups guard children against later psychological problems. The family, education, religion, peer groups, economic systems, legal systems, penal systems, language, and the media are the institutions that impress social norms upon an individual. A child gets socialization through his interaction with these institutions in single or in groups. Both education and socialization participate in selective learning achieved through systematic reinforcement of definite behavior patterns. The difference between socialization and education is that while socialization is an unconscious, subjective process grounded in the primary institutions of society, education efforts are conscious and purposive, rooted in the secondary institutions of socialization. The modern system of education feels the need to impart more knowledge to children than socialization could provide. Today, education is dispersed through a large and complex organization. The organization is formal as it has a number of clearly established goals, a definite structure, and obviously laid procedure for attaining the established goals. Today, the student has to respond to formal knowledge the teacher, lecture, and the textbooks offer, as well as to the informal kinds of relations and expectations that generate between a teacher and a student. It is this interaction between the formal and informal facets of education that differentiates education from other facets of socialization. In schools, children from different families come to attain one common knowledge. They bring with them different cultures, patterns of speech, habits, and different orientations of life acquired in their family and neighborhood. Children create certain relations in a school with teachers and among themselves. The teacher's attitude, school extracurricular activities, the pattern of classes, the values stressed by the teachers, and the social background of the child influence the relationships of the students with teachers. The school plays a role in socialization through curriculum, pedagogy, textbooks, activities, peer group relations with teachers and students, and the school's attitude towards education. Social class is inseparable from family. The social class in which a child is reared up has a great impact on his or her attitude, language, and socialization, which in turn affects the child's education and other aspects of life beyond a school. The social class decides the limit of a student's educational achievements. A.H. Huxley pointed out that liberal policy makers failed to notice that the major determinants of education attainments were not schoolmasters but social situations, not curriculum but motivation, not formal approach to the school but family and the community support. Children coming from deprived sections of society are also at a cultural disadvantage in terms of attitudes and values transmitted to them. Girls and boys undergo different socializing experiences. He or she has an acceptable amount of knowledge of their gender identity by the time of entering the school. Parents, siblings, media provide greater amount of gender identity. Gender identity is also known as gender roles, meaning thereby that certain attitudes, value, and behavior are associated with gender bias. Men should be sturdy and tough, while girls need be tender. Among the primary agents of socialization, parents' role in developing the gender identity is critical. Gender socialization is the acquisition of behavior and attitudes thought appropriate for a gender. Children observe teachers and administrators and learn gender roles. Books, television programs, and toys transmit gender images. The schools and teachers are among the significant sources of information on proper behavior. A sense of national pride and patriotic, positive, and emotional feelings towards the country are developed in children during the process of socialization. A child develops a sense of national identity through observation of symbolic nationalism and its propagation by mass media. This feeling manifests from the need to be related with something big and larger cause. The school generates the patriotic feelings in the child. A child recognizes himself with the nation, feels pride in sacrificing himself for the cause of the nation. Friends, in this lecture we have covered socialization, features of socialization, different kinds of socialization, and the roles played by family, peers, education, school, the influence of social class on education and socialization, and gender role. Thanks for your support. Please subscribe this channel and press bell icon to receive the notification first. If you have any doubt, please write your comment in the comment box.